3 years and 2 months later, Mirage is finally here. It has been a long journey to get this out. So long, in fact, it predates our current codename system for IDs that I show on stream. For those of you watching from YouTube in the future, whenever we work on a brand new track here on stream, I never reveal the actual name of it until it comes out, right? So in the meantime, we give it a funny codename like Simon or Jimmy John or David, and we refer to them as such until release. I know it's a very weird inside joke, but we like weird here. So back to Mirage. This song was started, according to FL Studio at least, on March 17th, 2021 at 2 a.m. in the morning. And not long after, you guys saw me working on this for the first time live on this very show, Modus Live. Safe to say, it's been a while. I think a good way to sum it up is during the making of the song, I have moved computers twice. I've had my share of songs that I've had to migrate to a new computer, but I don't think I've ever worked on anything across 3 separate computers. And to be honest, it's a miracle this project survived mostly intact in its entirety through all of that until now. That does mean I haven't touched this project in a while. So as cool as this is going to be for you, it's also going to be a bit of an exercise for me to kind of rediscover whatever the heck I did here and trying to get into the mind of my old self here. As for what it is, Mirage is a song about false hopes, a false sense of security, living in your own bubble and believing you're on top of the world. And even if you know it's not true, even if there's a part of you deep inside that knows and tells you this is wrong, you still choose to be oblivious, to not wake up from your dream because it brings you comfort, it makes you happy, not knowing that that happiness may be short-lived. The instrumental was first finished a couple years ago, and then I revisited it in 2023, which I believe is when I enlisted the help of Miss Lina to help out with the vocals. I wrote down some lyrics, and I remember she talked to me about how she had recently been practicing to improve her vocal performance, and this was a golden opportunity to try out those improvements. And holy crap! If I thought Paracosm or Visionary were good, this was on another level. I was surprised at just how easy it was to work with Mimi's vocals. They required minimal correction, and that allowed me to spend most of the time where it mattered, actually making it flow with the song and getting the mix down just right, so it always stayed on top of the instrument. So I think we got a pretty good result. So yeah, here's Mirage, G sharp minor, 146 BPM, first song of my new AB with Miss Lina. We'll go over the production first and then move over to the mixing and mastering project where the vocals are. Let's get right to it! I'm pretty sure I found Miss Lina through an existing song of someone else that had her featured, and I just wanted to reach out. And I believe she was like on a Discord server or something. It was just like the most normal thing. So what just happened here? We had a reverse piano sample, which is just this. I just bounced that and I reversed it. And the thing is, I faded it like just a few milliseconds into the intro because it sounded smoother that way when I fade it when the first note of the piano had already hit, as opposed to just cutting it here. This sounded a little bit unnatural, so to leave a little bit of this sample through, things sounded a bit more natural, and that's probably why I did this. Yeah, there's that main melody, na, 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 and that will be repeated through the lyrics, right? So later in the build-up, there'll be this, but I don't care, and then the choirs do, I don't care. And there it is. And then there's the same thing. We're doing octaves, and then doing a slight variation. Going a bit further up for that like C sharp chord, for that subdominant, really sick subdominant. And then there's this thing called sparkly stuff. Super quiet. Comes over just there. This is a vital preset. It's called, well, I called it Sparkle Generator. It's basically random, like just super random inharmonics. That's the raw file. That's the raw preset. As you can see, I randomized the pitch here, and I just do that. I randomized each pitch, each of the pitches on each oscillator in a different way. So I have randomizer 1 and 2, and these are all independent from each other. And then I just high pass that and reverb that. And you get that. And then here's a plugin I haven't used in a while. I almost forgotten. It's called Moodle. I believe it's a spectral resonator of sorts. So yeah, I can't quite recount how I came to this configuration, but yeah, basically does this. It makes it sound a little bit more like spacious and like sparkly and like far away, right? And then at the end, there's a Pro R, full wet for that like really blurred sound. And then there is one final high cut filter. So it's going to come up in as the intro goes, presumably. So yeah, this just fades in, and as you can see, it then goes down and then probably back up. There it is. It goes back up. You could have used chroma, yeah, but this was done 3 years ago. Unless you have a time machine, I don't think chroma was out. So yeah, this is pre-pitch map, this is pre-chroma, this is pre-everything. Like, we're pioneering color base right here, boys. This project is ancient. And just the fact that I can remember at least part of it is already a miracle. Anyway, there's just that D-pad. Same old. You have that detune saw with the fundamental removed, I will say. So the intro had the fundamental removed because the fundamental then comes later here on the buildup. So I didn't want the intro to be too heavy on the bass just yet. All right. I believe this is AV Anthracite, and I don't think it's up for download, at least on the official website anymore. You can probably get it through the archive, through like the Internet Archive, like getting on the old website that way. But yeah, it's a sick theme. I really like it, and it's the only one I've been using since the very start, probably. So we got some piano blurs. This is probably, yeah, there it is. There's a massive Pro R here, and there's a Haas effect for some like spatial delay. Well, like, just like delaying one channel in time to give the sensation, the feeling of like fake stereo, right? And then there's a dimension expander, and I really liked the resonances that it gave me here. And then same thing there. And there it is. Some super saws now. Obviously, these don't come in after a while. And now they're pretty blurred and filtered. And they'll come in like here. There it is. This is, I believe, Silence. There it is. It's my usual super saw preset. I'm pretty sure, yep, I used a trans gate to, well, gate them. To give them that that like really stabby rhythm. And so otherwise they would just sound like this. Oh, they still sound. Oh, because it like defaults to on. Okay, so it's at 75%. So if I turn it all the way down, oh, it also has them. Oh shit! So I did account for this. All right, there it is. Now it's up. Yeah, there it is. But when there's so much reverb going on, it doesn't matter because like it doesn't come through. And then there's a bunch of pulse stretch pads I believe I made for the New Year Protocol countdowns. Oh yeah, I totally remember where this is from. This is a pulse stretched version of my intro jingle. So the very first thing that you see on stream when this stream starts is that jingle, na 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 na, right? Na na na. Well, this is that, but pulse stretched. I pulse stretched it to last like several minutes, right? And it goes on for several minutes. And I just took that and I resampled it down to C#. So yeah, that's a pretty sick pad for the intro jingle. That's pretty sick. And I just took this for some additional vocal goodness. This is from Laniakia Sounds Atmospherica 2, I believe. There it is. Just nailed it, bro. Oh, these pads are awesome. I just took that and I put it with the jingle. Nice. And then there's these additional samples. There's this. These are all also from Laniakia. Very subtle there. Same as this now. One's a little quieter, I believe. Yeah, there it is. Also super quiet there. This one's a little longer. And have a look at this. This is off in the final version. This is off. But originally, I started the song with an impact. That's how the song used to start. Do you think it was a better way to start? Or do you prefer the final one without the impact? I honestly prefer this one without the impact. Just the fact that there's less stuff going on makes it a little bit more mysterious, you know? And so when this chord builds up, finally introduce the main theme, there's a bit of silence. There's a bit of reverb left over. Keep in mind, this is before clip fade-ins were a thing in FL Studio. There's none of that in this project. Because, well, it wasn't a thing. So this is a leftover, this is a tail from the reverb that I got from a music box. I bounced it and I faded it in. There it is. So this time we do have the impact. I felt it was way more fitting to put it here. That's when the action and the rhythm like really starts, really kicks off. And we finally get our first glimpse at the main motif. Na, 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 na. In the form of an ARP. It's not quite the Scarlet ARP, I will say. This is a bespoke thing. This is the Simplex Square preset on Flex. And eventually I combined it with a saw wave. Yeah, there it is. This is from Serum, I believe. There it is. So this is just a saw wave with a very sharp pitch pinch. Pitch pinch. There it is. So like pinches down from a very high pitch. It very quickly goes down. Like, you know, really sharp synth pluck effect. So you first get that. And then this is also combined with a Simplex Buzzy. So we have one layer, which is this. And we have this. So when you combine the two. And then finally we get the saw ARP. which comes in at the second phrase. So in reality, it's 3 layers. And then there's an automation that opens these up somewhere in here. Oh, there it is. Flex hard. So it opens up a filter in here. So it just so it takes away the high cut on them. It makes them go from this to really open up. There's the same piano reverb effects as the intro. That like reminder of the intro motif. Na, na, na. And same thing in there. How much disperser? Only 1. And this is before Enum came out with his all-pass phase. So we were still using Kiloheart's own disperser. Yeah, there's only 1. There it is. And then why is there an empty Serum Effects? We will never know. After all, this was 3 years ago. All right, there's a Hyperverb keypad from Hypernova. Very slowly fades in. It has a filter, I believe. There it is. So because this is just like a pentatonic G sharp, no matter which chord from the scale we use, it's always going to fit. See that? No matter what we do, it's going to fit. And then I have this other Hyperverb pad called Sine Wave's Edge. This one sounds pretty cool. It sounds a little something like this. This is the original. And I pitched it up to match the key. G sharp. Such a tasty pad, honestly. And yeah, I just pitched it up. And we finally have the sub, which is just that, a D pad, now with the fundamental. The fundamental is on a separate patch, so we have the sub and the pad with that fundamental removed. So we now have that doing the main rhythm, bam, bam. And that complements really well with the plucks. There is. And then the pad also opens up to an automation here. There it is. All right, and now there's a bunch more layers. This is a bounced vital. I'm pretty sure I made this one for Mirage, and then ended up using it in Superluminal, I think. The Super Saws. So we have that nice growl plus Super Saw dynamic. Nice. And then we have this repeating sound. It's called Atlantic Movement because I think this is a growl from Atlantis, from AU5. So the original sounds a little something like this. There it is. And I just chopped a tiny bit, repitched it up to F sharp for that chord, and now we have the like stabby movement to that. See that? Now we have a silent sustain for another layer. Some more pinchy movement here. Bow, bow, bow. And we have an evil god Bram. I like to use the sound a lot. You'll find this all over New Year Protocol because this just makes for a great bass support to a low Bram. And I just used it here as well. And this is another thing. So this is a sound that I had laying around. I think I eventually put it in a pack of mine. What I did is I probably ran it. Yeah, there it is. I ran it through a delay and a soothe. Make it a little bit more metallic sounding. There it is. The original sounds a little something like. Nah, that's not it. That's the original. And I just pitched it down and did some things to it to make it sound more metallic. And that makes for a pretty cool, like, unique siren effects. One more Bram, because there's never... it's never not enough Brams. And a really high sub drop. There it is. And then there's a clap, a noise downlifter. So when you combine all of this in the instruments bus, so we get this the subtle sub drop in combination with all of these. There it is. We arrive at the body of the song. So now let's tackle this pattern. This is the main pattern. It has both the piano, the music box, and the arps. So this is like the main soul of the verse, you know? In a way. So this is, I'm counting 6 layers in here. Okay, so we have the 2 flex layers from the intro. Now they're fully opened up, you know? And we have this other one. There it is. And then we have 2 saw arps actually. What's the difference? Not a lot, and I don't know why I had 2 of the same preset playing at the same time. This is asking for phase issues. I think I know why. Okay, this one's more opened up. And this is doing an octave. And this is just like the top line. There it is. So I'm not sure why I did it this way, but it is there. And then there's this tandem of piano and music box that's just so beautiful. I use it very often. And now you have the main melody here. So let's focus on the piano. Na, 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 na. So you'll find that we have the same exact movement, but it's the chords below that change. So that's what makes it change the context, and that's what really makes it sound different. See that? And then we finally head to a different place. And so we have harmonies all over the place. So we have sixths. Na 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 na, and then we have na na na, right? And then we have that secondary melody in the piano. That one's not on the music box, as you can see. And then I chose not to do a G sharp here because that would have conflicted with this octave here. So just chose to do it on the music box. So we just go like na 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 na. There it is. So as you can see, it's like the same like timing of like 3 notes. It's just which 3 notes are playing. So it's always an ascending movement. It's na 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 na. So it's almost like a scale within a scale. So it's like each time it plays, it goes up like 1 step, you know? There's another piano filler in there. Piano fill. Do pianos get fills? You've heard of tom fills. How about piano fill? Can we call that a thing? Na, 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 na. So we do have a tritone in there. After all, it's the context that makes it work. So yeah. Na 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 na. So it's within a C sharp major with a minor seventh chord, and I took the fifth away. Well, that like really mysterious cadence. So it is a tritone. It's the context within the tritone that really makes it work. If this was here in isolation, it'd probably sound weird. Is that C sharp on the bass? Dong. So obviously this is like hammered to the point of exhaustion. No piano player would play it like this. No piano player would actually hammer the notes like this. It's just, if they're not like this, they don't come out in the mix. They don't come through in the mix otherwise. And I'll prove it to you. And it doesn't even sound like I'm hammering them, because the hammer transient gets eaten away by just the sheer amount of things that are going on in there. So yeah. And then we have some violins. I did this in Contact, and I'm not sure if I still have if I got rid of the Contact instance for this. No, it is not. I do have sustains, but how about the staccato ones? I think they're gone. But this is probably either Metropolis Arc or Cinematic Studio Strings, so like CSS. There's a little bit of processing involved here. Without any effects that sound like this. So definitely a little bit raw and dull. So we have a bit of Haas effect. For a tiny bit more stereo separation, now we have and then we have a bit of a reverb. Very, very small. And at around half. To give them a bit of space. And then we have this amazing EQ. Look at that. Jesus Christ. So I basically high-passed, low-cut. I boosted the air quite a bit. And then I took out what seems to be some resonance in here. It probably had to do with that B. And then there's a second EQ, which does, well, just that. It takes a bit of the mids away. Then again, this is not an orchestra. This is like an electronic song. So these EQs, yeah, they mangle the violins, but these EQs are meant so these violins can fit in the mix, at least to some extent. And there they are. And now let's look at this. This is my like wall of sound thing that I did for this. It's just the super sauce again. These are pretty full range. They cover a broad area of the spectrum, but within that we have the same basically the same layers from the build-up, right? So we have the Atlantis bass. There it is. So I just chopped a different portion of the bass each time to create some more movement, right? See that? We have the Xylent bass again. Actually a more sustained nature. Now we have the Evil God Bram. That's literally what it's called, Evil God. Just that low C sharp, so good. And then we have this other Bram, which is a little bit smoother and more airy. Not so gritty. So we have these two complementing each other in a really nice way. And then we have this. I'm not sure why this pattern is called Vital Growl, because it is obviously just a razor from Reactor. This There's a bunch of automations to regulate the combiness of the filter. I don't know. There is. Okay, that is a vital growl. It's somewhere in there. Show yourself. There it is. So that's just a sustain. And I just open up the filter on it. See that? And on the bass, it's basically doing the same thing. And there's a bit of a glide there. And now, if we put it all together, and there it is. Now we have the whole thing. And now for the drums, we have kick 9. I believe this is from Supernova. I want to say Supernova. There it is. So it's kick 9. I did take a bit of the lows away. Probably boosted it. Yeah, there it is. Oh, wow. This is a funky EQ. Not sure why I did this, but there is 2021 Paul. And there it is. Snare 03. And there's an instance of FPC with all the Xylan hats in there. Look at that. This is a preset that I made with all the Xylan Power Pack 1 hats. And it works great. Whenever I want to add some more rhythm, I just get the hats in there. Otherwise, it would just sound a little bit too dull. No? And then obviously we have the crashes, both acoustic and huge from A5. They make a great pair, honestly, and there it is. There's a bit of a stop drop there. Whoop! And there's a bounce sample. This is part of a bass jam that I did with Glitch 2. The original bass jam sounds a little something like this. See that? I think that's Glitch 2, but I can't quite remember. That's interesting. So that's vital. And then I eventually made that into a sample, and I ended up using it in Mirage because, well, that's the song I made it for. And then there's all these things from Vital also, I think. This one, I couldn't quite recover the Vital preset, so I'm gonna assume this is a similar patch to what I made for... to what I later used in New Protocol 8 in the second drop of NYP8. But it just has a bit more resonance in there, all right? And I'm not sure what I used to add that additional bit of resonance in there. I'm not sure what I did there exactly. So yeah, these are just a bunch of pads. And then this is a growl layer from Donation A5. A5 growls. You can beat it, join it. And then there's a bunch of delay from this same sound here. So I basically just reverb this out and like delayed this out and just bounced it. And then I'm teasing. So I'm using the build-up in a very functional way here to just like tease the incoming drop, right? So the drop features that like dun, 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 that like stepped super saw thing. And that's done through a frequency, through a filter. Just manual automating. And again, here. So yeah, I'm teasing that in the build-up, and that's usually what I do. I tend to use build-ups in like very functional way. Same thing, just introducing a couple more layers and that main motif from the intro. And then we get this pulse stretched orchestra hyperverb pad. Which again is a hypernova patch, just pitched up. Then we get to the buildup, which is just a couple basses that are pitched down, so they go from B to G sharp. Right? Then we have a couple. Yes, these are Kara. Yes. This is back when the song was still instrumental. So yeah. How to make these spectrally and gnarly growls? Well, you can see me make them on stream very often. This is basically like just a couple like of the default Vital wavetables. That's basically all I've used since I've downloaded Vital. I've used very few wavetables that are not part of the like default Vital pack. Yeah, there's a bunch of phase dispersion time skewing, and this is just like a blended saw thing. And then I used the squeeze modifier on oscillator 3. I did a bit of combs in there. So the processing is just a chorus, a compressor, and an equalizer. Without any of these, this sounds kind of strange. And without the comb filter, it sounds a little bit more gritty. So this helps it sound a little more metallic. That. And now with the chorus, tiny bit more detuned. This is like an OTT-like levels of compression. That like really makes it sound very aggressive. And finally the equalizer to take away some bass, some mud. Finally boost the tops a little bit. So yeah. For the EQ, I did a few more things in the highs. And that pocket there, so yeah. And this is, I believe, inharmonic generator. I think it's this one. There it is. I got it. So let's have a look at this. So again, these are two Vital presets. Well, two Vital wavetables, sorry. One of them is called Kaliki Robot, and the other is called Vital Sign 2. Just not actually doing a lot for whatever reason. Oh, that's because it's ring modulated to oscillator 1. So if oscillator 1 is not on, it won't do anything. See that? Makes it sound a little bit more resonant on the mid end, like more ringy. Ring modulation, you know? Without it. See that? And then what I did here is I randomized the inharmonic modifier. I set it to a randomizer, and I set it on stereo mode, so the left and the right channels will get a different value each, right? So each time the randomizer changes values, the left and the right channel will get a different value, so it sounds like very, very stereo. You get this like very wide sounding thing, because, well, the left and the right are getting two totally different things, two totally different values of inharmonic. So if you turn it off, you just get like one, you know, one mono signal. And then with that, you get a little bit more quirkiness. And then finally, we have a chorus, a distortion, and a filter. Yeah, it sounds a little bit more dull without it. And there it is. And then I just took this and I ran it through a bunch more effects. So let's go over that. So that's the preset straight out of Vital. And then what I did is, well, I had a taste stop for later in the song. I did a soothe in there to take away some of the like really high, like that. And then I did a disperser to add this like more bubbly nature to the transient, right? And then I did an OTT, and I did a transcate, which is probably not being used now. Oh yeah, it is. Maybe it's just, it's like it has a very long decay and release time, so it's probably not too noticeable. And then there's a soft clipper, and probably what's making this sound different right now, it's the frequency shifter. So without it, sounds a lot more like the original, right? And with it, sounds a little bit more shifted downwards, right? And then there's a destructor that's adding this like grit. See that? There it is. And then there's a parametric EQ for some corrections. Gosh, that phase shift is wild. And then there's a glue compressor for those times where it just peaks too high. And here I just bounced the second half of the drop, which goes like this. I just bounced it. I didn't. That was the buildup. Okay. But basically, the first buildup is based on the second drop. It is basically based on that. There it is. Hats. The final start. So again, we have this super saw motif. We have the famous spear rees. Where are you? There it is. It's just this awesome chain that I got from Famous Spear. It's a sine wave and a saw with a noise oscillator, and it's being brought through a hyper dimension here. And now what we're doing is I'm running it through an OTT and an M saturator to really distort it. So without it, it would sound like this. Well, it wouldn't sound like that because there's nothing now. Oh, it is. So like very thin and narrow, but with it, we get this way more interesting sound. And then I did take away the bass. I did high pass the bass because we already had a sub in here, right? So I didn't want the two subs to be conflicting, but in reality, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, there it is. We have a different chord and different movement. Same thing. So yeah, we have all that. And we have all of these. So we have a flange, scrowl, hollow distorted, FM, and thank you false noise. These are all three oscillators, once again, that are found by default on Vital. So that's one of them. That's like the main one, you know? And then there's this one. So then we have the waveform movement, the waveform modifier, the wavetable position, sorry. We have a sort of phase disperser smoothness going on. And then the resonance is being done by this comb filter. See that? We have a phaser. You can make an argument that it might sound better without the phaser, but I'm not going to question my 2021 choices. And then we have a compressor, distortion, and equalizer. So without any of those, again, it sounds pretty dull, weird. Yeah, a bit of air boost, soft clip, and then there's the OTT style, just yeah, that's what happens when you stick the protocol in a blender. And then I just chop that sound around. these are all things that you can't do with just the synth sound in the pattern. So yeah, just sometimes bouncing stuff can often be really cool. So you can just move stuff around. And then there's these pad layers from Hyperverb again. And then that like that other vital thing with a razor. It's being filtered in. There it is. And that's pretty much all the drop is made of. And then we just have the flex ARP from the intro. It's just being bounced. So I can just cut it and have it silenced right there. Then we have this phaser fever sound. This is from Hypernova. Also, there it is. So this was around the time where I was putting together Hypernova. So this was before it came out, and I used this track to kind of test some of what it can do. So this is, in essence, Hypernova samples actually used in a real world example. You know, like in practice. So we have the same layers, and it's just the piano. Tom fill in there. And the same thing, same layers, hyperverbs, A5 growls, this vital bounce. And then I'm chopping these vocals around. And this also comes from this. That comes from there. And then there's some more stuff going on here. Yeah, there it is. So the whole like glitch jam sounds like this. And yeah, the Arcara drops in a Miss Lina track. This was before I had the lyrics, so I thought it was going to be an instrumental back then. Probably why I did the Cara chops. If I knew from the beginning that this was going to be a vocal track, I probably wouldn't have gone forward with it. With like doing Cara chops. I would have just used Lina's vocals. How do you make your piano sound so majestic? Answer. Addictive keys. Best piano ever. Combine that with Toraverb and a little bit of Luxverb, and Jesus Christ, you got the best piano of all time. Listen to this, brother. Lush. Anyway, eargasms aside, everything together. Apple Bob. There it is. And then there's the classical uplifter to let you know that the drop's about to come to an end. And then there's all these like tape stops things. So there's subdrop, but there's this. So this is just the same like the same inharmonic bells preset from before. It's just that now I have the tape stop on them. See that? And that's what does that sound. And that seems to complement really well with the subdrop, so that's why I did that. And you can see here in the snare, I layered a pre-clap thing. So instead of this, we get this. It's a little bit more for like a clappy snare. That's a little bit more like composite and organic. I don't know how to explain it, really. And there's a bunch of things here going on. There's 3 pad drop things. I don't know why that's in there. All of these are the same sound. Oh, I exported 3 separate versions of this. I guess each with different harmonics. Or like just different iterations of the same sound. And I layered the 3 to make like a composite. Weird. 2021 Paul makes weird choices. And then there's a delay tail from the drop that just came before, and a reverb tail. So you have both a reverb and a delay. We have that repeating rhythm. Na, 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 na. We have this. Pretty sure this is made with modal, with like Moodle. Oh, there it is. So I have a Moodle here that's doing like this weird like glittery thing, and then I have a crystallizer with a frequency shifter set to minus 1 hertz. This is back when they first introduced the built-in FL Studio frequency shifter, and the feedback knob has been so useful. And then I have an odd pan for this. Yeah, there it is. And the same effects from the intro, basically. And there it is. The growl delay tail from the build-up. And we get the bridge to the piano there. This horror piano, I think it's called like that, horror piano, because it's a different patch of addictive keys. If I had to guess, it would be in the selections thing, and it's prepared horror, probably. Yeah, it's that one. So this sounds like this. So we have a bunch of things going on here. Have the same ambient from here. And then we have this chaotic choir thing. This is interesting. This is a certain library in Contact. It's a very specific library. It's called Mysteria. And it just has like atonal choirs and like really weird swells. And it works so well for very narrow slice of scenarios. So there it is. This is the default preset that it comes with. And like there's a lot more, like there's so many more. But the general one, the default one is this. As you can see, you can do like XY modulation in here. And you can get some truly weird stuff. And there's so many really cool presets with this. And so what I did was I just sampled several presets of that. I just like manually XY modulated it, and I just had Edison recording in the background probably. And I just came out with this, right? So there's a bunch of swells that I've recorded with it, and I just automated them all, and I bounced them into this one final track, but they basically sound like this. And then I did have to pitch this one down so I could get that soprano to sing the right note. That B flat in there with the natural F. See that? So yeah, I bounced all of this and I came up with this, right? Now what I did is I reverbed it out tons, and then I did a crystallizer on it. You see the effect of the crystallizer there. It just makes this like really weird grainy thing. It makes it sound really eerie. And then I did an EQ to remove some resonances probably. And then I was gonna say slight. No, this is a very aggressive OTT. And then when you put it all together with the deep pad, with the downlifter noise, and with this ambient pad and just the piano, just sounds eerie. And you have this descending scale. It's all a chromatic movement. So I did transpose these up, but if you put it like this, as you can see, it all goes down in semitones, right? So the cool thing about this is that it starts out in the dominant in that D sharp, and then as we go down, it turns out that the progression just so happens to end at the tonic at the G sharp. So from there we can do a bridge. So from there we can jump from the tonic to the subdominant. So we can do G sharp to C sharp for that none and have that same chord that we have at the end of the intro, right? So we have this. So I wanted to go from the dominant here, and we slowly go down. So we want to get to the tonic, and we're slowly going down. It just so happens that the top melody fits fits on every chord. But now here, it's in a different context. That F plays a different role with the A sharp, with the B flat, on the bass than it does on the C sharp. You know? That F is going to play a different role depending on which bass chord you're in, like bass note you're in, which chord, key, yeah, anyway. And now we finally made it to G sharp, so we can jump. We can finally go back to the main motif. And there it is. So yeah, it's just a long way down till we finally find where we need to go to jump back onto the main motif, that like C sharp in there. And I think this is like my favorite part of this whole song, or like my second favorite part of the song, because like, well, the modulation to E is pretty cool. We get a massive piano reverb sample. There it is. This is a handful. So this breakdown, I think, is lacking like a couple sounds. So it's a little bit incomplete compared to the final. That's because, well, this project has been through 3 computers. Modus, I have a question regarding music theory stuff. How do you make chromatic movements / generally notes that aren't in the scale work? You just have to think about, in say you're doing the melody and then you start doing a chromatic movement. Each note you land on, does it play, like, is it part of the scale of the bass note you're in, right? Like, does it belong in the scale of the bass note you're in, right? So, and then what role does it play? So here we have na 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 na. So that is obviously like still in G sharp. We're just doing the dominant, that like 5, that the 5 chord, the G sharp. D sharp, sorry. E. Yeah, no, D sharp. No, right? So here we have this like natural D, which these 3 notes don't really have a lot in common. We don't really have like a it's not really very consonant. So what I leaned on here was just the fact that the next chord was going to be in key, right? So the dissonance, as long as it resolves back into consonants, will most likely fit. We have that. And again, same thing here. It's just we have a lot of dissonance here. But as long as it resolves, like that, we have that B major. Na, na, na. Very stable, very consonant. But it's preceded by a very weird atonal thing. But it doesn't matter. As long as we end up in like a safe place, you know? What's up, Paul? I just want you to know that I am building an IKEA chair while listening to your breakdown. Priorities. So just putting them doesn't work unless I fix it right after. to be honest, just know where you are right now, where you want to go, right? And then just bridge those two together with chromatic movements. And then just try to figure out all the in-between. Is just what I did here. So now we find that we have some very interesting interactions. Na, 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 na. Now this turns into a minor third. Na, 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 na. We have that like B flat minor chord, right? And we have this movement from the minor third to the fifth. Na, 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 na. So that fits too, right? Same thing here. We got a bit of dissonance. But as long as it resolves, right? We go back somewhere safe. As long as you resolve it, it'll probably make sense. Anyway, let's get to the breakdown. We have a bunch of very interesting things going on here. First of all, we have the first use of Doom 3 in a long time. We have this preset called the Plucked Attack, and it's off. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. You have a filter. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have that. Silly me. So we have that, and then we have this other thing called Warehouse Beacon. This is also a flex preset. And this has these really interesting, like, stabby, like, delay effects that I did with Free Delay 3. And then I did add a Deep Blue Crusher. So without it, without any effects, really, it's just a glorified sine wave. Then I just delayed. See that? And then I did a little bit of feedback distortion on one of them. So the wet signal would sound a little bit distorted. See how it gains a little bit of brightness from there? Then we have Saturn. To basically saturate it, overdrive it a tiny bit. Now we have an EQ, some more air. That really brings the noisy transient. There it is. And now we have a A40 balance. And finally the Deep Blue Crusher. Adds that final bit of sharpness and crustiness on the top end. Then we have these super saws. That's a little bit weird. That sounds a little bit more detuned, doesn't it? And it does. Sounds a little bit more detuned than usual. Why is that? Did I use a hyper chorus before it came out? No, that's just a crowd chamber preset. It's called Fat Pack. And I did bring the voices together a little bit, like just manually gone there, and just I brought them all closer together. They're just like a straight line that covers the whole thing, and that just detuned the super saws in a really interesting way. So without it, it sounds a little something like this, just like a regular saw, right? And that's just such a cool way to detune, honestly. The crowd chamber is another one of those plugins where it's just like, it's very useful in a very narrow slice of cases. Alright? We have a glitch jam from Sharks. So this is some bass jam from Sharks that I believe he shared on his server a while back. The original sounds like this. And I just high-passed it. I took the very top end, see that? And only just used that as like artifacts for the breakdown. And I chopped it around to get some rhythms in the... And those reflections, those like really sharp... Yeah, it's almost like tonal there, right? Na, 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 na. There it is. And we have some vocal chops. And we have some... What's this? This is MIDI for Miss Lina. So this is basically what Miss Lina was supposed to sing. In the dun dun section on the vocals. This is the breakdown. So let's talk about this weird progression. By the way, we just have some cool drums, like very soft kicks, and then just a bunch of corn sound Foley. It's just so cool. We have some more Foley crackle background. See that? Anyway, let's talk about this. That's weird, isn't it? So, in a way, this is teasing the modulation to E minor later on in the song that just goes. It does the exact same thing. So we've already tackled the concept of a chromatic movement down. Na, na, na. So we already have that like in our heads, in our subconscious, right? Like I've already suggested you to that. So let's use that again, but this time let's use it to modulate to a different key, or at least like tease a modulation to a different key. So, so I'm going off of this, and then I do the same just with the natural A instead of the sharp A. So it's so it's the same thing, just with a semitone down on the first note. So like these two like tie in like really well with each other. See that? And then we just have a bit of a moment of silence. And then we finally go back with these fillers. So this is an all phase growl, that's what I called it, but this is just a reverse version of this. This is a sample I made for Mirage. But then I put it probably in Hypernova. I think that's some kind of effects. I'm not sure. Yeah. I made that for Mirage, and then I put it in a sample pack, and then I reversed it and got, well, same thing, just in reverse. So I play the forward one first, and then the reverse one, like, it's gonna like fade in halfway through. So like it goes, and then we have some tape stopped or like tape start supersaws. Because in reality, what this is a tape stop supersaw, just in reverse. So that's it, right? And then they're just on an LFO and they're reversed. So there it is. Well, if the LFO is a manual automation. So yeah, there it is. And then I just chopped them for that like final like timed yeah, it was a very uncomfortable silence, wasn't it? And then we have these two growls in combination with the saws. That final sound, and then it all just kicks back in. So it's a nice like just moment of chaos. Like, what the hell just happened? Let's go back to normal. It's a like pretty nice moment of like that dynamic between like chaos and stability. And so yeah, we managed to find a way back into the main leitmotif. That main 4/1 cadence, that subdominant. So we build off of this. There's some sounds here that are incomplete, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because this doesn't sound the exact same. So yeah. Just imagine they're there. So I ended up going na 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 na. So the same thing as in the breakdown, you know. But now na 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 na. So I'm ending up on that like F sharp without really resolving the melody yet, you know. Na 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 na. So that I can do that same F sharp now on a C sharp sus4 chord on the choirs. Na, na. Ah, this is just such a cool chord, and then we just have the choir near. This is 99% Metropolis Arc 1. 99% sure. Ah, such a cool choir. So same pause dynamic as in here. But now we have an even cooler version of this same sound that we have here. So we have that. And then there's, where is it? Here. So we have that same sound. I just ran it through a phaser in effector. So as you can see, we have that effector here. Without the effects, it sounds the exact same, right? Now we have a frequency shifter. So let's turn on these effects one by one. We have a shifter. That already makes it pretty chaotic. We have an automation there. You see, where is it? That is really cool. I think it's this one. Or maybe it's the supermorph. I called that automation the supermorph. Anyway, oh no, here it is. Wow, so it has a bit of a pinch in there. See that? And then we have an effector here. Right? And then we have an EQ to clean some of that up. And then we have a delay for that, like really short delay, 16 milliseconds for that, like resonated G sharp. So as you can see, I made the delay longer so it would resonate at a lower and lower note each time. So if I kept it at the same value, right? I think it's this, which is the automation that controls the delay time. As you can see, if the delay stays at the same time, it's just going to be tuned to a specific note. That's just C sharp, right? And by doing this automation, I'm increasing the time, which decreases the pitch. And then eventually, if we make the delay long enough, we will be able to hear the actual sound being like repeated. So this is essentially, this very short delay is essentially the same effect that you get when you pick a selection of a song and you make it smaller. Eventually, it's so fast that it becomes tonal. See that? Right? So eventually it gets so fast that it creates a note. So that's the same exact principle being applied here. And then we're going back to the same build-up motif. Same exact thing. Now it's just that I repeat that phrase a couple more times, whereas I had a piano phrase before. Same thing. And it's just I have a bit of a fake out here for the second drop. Bow, bow, bow. Here I have this. And then the Atlanta sub. Bow, bow, bow. Ah, so cool. And then we have those hats. Then we have this ARP. It's just the simplest square saw wave ARP thing. Square saw, just as I said. This comes from Massive, I'm pretty sure. So I have a wavetable pack for Serum that's basically just the Massive wavetables, but for Serum. All right, so it's just that. It's a square wave, like it's like a hybrid, like half square, half saw wave. And you get this really cool, like really smooth, just hybrid sound. Sounds pretty cool for like leads. This is really cool. This is really sick, really cool for leads. And we have a repeated thing there. Here we have like a stabby, looped sound here. We have some bass hits layers. We have the Scarlet Growl. Yeah, there it is. And then we have some more stabs that I made for this bespoke. These are both from the same vinyl patch, I'm pretty sure. This is it. So let's go over this one now. Take off the effects. So this is solar powered, hollow distorted FM, and thank you false noise. Once again, all three of these are the default like vital wavetable pack. So there's a little bit of wavetable movement, but there's also a phaser in here. And as you can see, the phaser is being controlled with this, and the wavetable movement with these 2 LFOs. Probably also something else going on. Oh, well, just in the second oscillator, probably. There it is. So we have this like squared off, really detuned thing. Alright. And then this thing for just like inharmonics, phase dispersed inharmonics. Then we just have those going through a compressor. So this is basically just another exercise of layering. We have just 3 oscillators that each do their own thing. And they each add their own features to the sound. And then you compress them together and they just do that. And then a little bit more bubbliness on the transient with an all-pass phase. It sounded a little bit smoother. And I high-passed it, not sure why. Probably to fit the sub below. Yeah, there it is. And then we have a chorus. To detune it just a tiny bit. And apart from that, it's pretty much the same sounds as the first instance, as the first time this part of this thing appeared in the song. It's just the pluck motif from the intro appears again. There it is. A bunch of formations here that make it all like filtered and have this fade-in effect. Then we basically go back to the verse. So this is like a tempo primo sort of thing. Now there's a few more variations. The piano goes up a little more, I think. That wasn't there. This movement is new to this part. So yeah. So if I'm going to do a reprise of a previous part of the song, I might as well add some new stuff to it. Some more new fillers. And then, what do you know? We get to see that same modulation, but now it's actually completed. Get to see that sick choir. It's compressed to hell and beyond, you can tell, huh? So we get to see that same attempt at a modulation, but now this time it succeeds. And we landed that awesome E minor coda. It's just the same thing, just an E. It's insane how just the exact same thing, just on a different key, can sound so epic. It can add so much epicness to just transition to a different key. Oh, it's so good. So as you can see, there's a lot going on, so let's break it down layer by layer. There is indeed the Scarlet Arp. You were starting to get a little bit scared, right? Modus, where's the Scarlet Arp? It's not a Modus track without the Scarlet Arp. Well, here it is. What do you know? It's there, all right. Anyway, so it's there as a layer, not as a main thing, but it is there. So for this, I didn't even need to do any sort of like round robin. I could just keep doing the same sample for the choir every single time because it was going to be so drowned in all of these other layers that it didn't really matter. Right? So I believe I have 2 layers to this choir. I have a sustain and then a more prominent staccato. So we have both like a bed of chords and then the staccatos on top of that, right? So we have like the background ambience with the overall chord and then the real staccato, like the main rhythm driving element here. Then obviously we have the sub. It's just a sub. So we're gonna put those together. We then have this. Same exact thing as in the original verse. It's just now been transposed. Here. And then we have the same 2 layers of Brahms. We have the smoother one and the greedier one. And then we have this. Low Brahms. Pretty sure this is either Forzo or Metropolis Arc Low Brahms, but I'm pretty inclined to say this is Forzo. This is hold up. This this Forzo right here. Full ensemble probably. And it's just like portato probably. There it is. I just compressed that to hell and beyond and there it is. I did 2 octaves. And I just looped them around. So the reason why this sounds like a final boss type beat is because it has all the elements of a final boss, of your typical final boss orchestral, like the cliche of get in the choir in the final boss fight. And also the Brahms. It's just this large orchestral thing at the end. And then on top of that, all these electronic elements. Same silent bass filler, the Atlantis bass. Got the super sauce. And then what do we have here? The highest violins ever. And that is combined with lower octaves. So we have too many violins here. Just the higher, the epicer. I mean, you gotta admit it sounds pretty sick. So as you can see, very wide, large, larger than life, grandiose. I'm running out of words. 6th section to end this whole thing. And then we finally add all of the electronic things. And finally, we add the melody. Na, 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 na. So we have that na 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 na. So we ended that beautiful C major 7 chord. Na 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 na. We have this insane, just like growl filler, filtered thing. And you might notice something strange here. There's no impact here at the outro. That's because I added it very last minute. This is the final impact. Like, that was added at the very end in the mastering phase, not even mixing. As you can see, this one's just like smoothly transitions over to the outro. No impact in there. You will see where I put it later on in the mixing and mastering project. And then there's just the reverbed music box there. Na, na, then. And the harmony. Na, na, na. And then we have this harmony become the top line. Na, na, na. It goes one octave higher and it becomes the top line. Na, na, na. And then it big crushes, and that's basically the end. Gets reverbed out, the song ends. And that's the production of Mirage. So yeah, let's move on to the mixing project now. There it is. That was pretty quick. Right, so this is where the entirety of the vocal mix happens. So I'm just going to turn all of this off for now and just focus on Lina's vocals for now, right? So let's have a look.
I can see another version of myself.
If I were to turn off all of the effects of the entire vocal bus, it would sound like this.
I can see
It's raw,
another version of myself.
unprocessed,
Is smiling at me.
no reverb, no delay, no nothing.
And I should know.
You can tell it's already pretty good. That needed almost no pitch correction at all. It was spot on. I gotta hand it to Mimi. Okay, so she didn't do this. I did, but this is a morphed layer. I basically took these vocals,
Is smiling
right?
at me.
And I just ran it through this thing called morph carrier. You can actually see the pattern here. These are just super saws, and they do these chords, right? And when you morph them, well, it sounds like this. You see, if I were to unroute them from the morph, they sound like this. So this is just what it'll be modulated with, right? To get this. This is just fancy vocoder done with Zynatic morph. So yeah, that's just the morph for additional harmonies. But yeah.
Is smiling at me.
All I had to do here was just do the delay and the reverb and the compression and just get it to fit in the mix. The performance was incredible. Okay, Jared noticed. There's a little thing here called shut up. What does this do? Shut up is a fruity balance that basically just shuts the whole thing up. It's on the general vocal bus. It's a post effects, and what it does is when this happens, the vocals just mute. This is useful here. So let me see.
There's no way.
When the reverb and the delay and everything just has to shut up. There's just a bunch of effects.
But I don't care.
So that's what shut up is for. So let's have a look at each layer, right?
Another version of myself.
So what I did here is the main vocal chain I had for Mimi was the following. I had a de-esser, right? So what this is, what this is gonna do is just find the sibilances at the range, at the frequency range that I specify, which is from 5.3K to 12K.
Another version of myself.
And it's just gonna tame the sibilances.
Is smiling at me.
All right. Then there's a bit of an OTT for compression.
Version of myself.
I know. I know you're already with your like pitchforks and in hand going, Paul, OTT on vocals, sacrilege. In my defense, the upwards is turned all the way down and it's only at 60% downwards only, so it's not that aggressive.
Another version of myself.
It just sounds cool.
Is smiling.
I had tried many other compressors by this point and I just stuck with OTT. It just sounded like felt right for this.
Another version of myself.
And then there's twin tube.
Is smiling.
I don't know why they're showing up like way over here. This is weird.
Another version of myself.
It's just a some saturation for some harmonics boosting and a little bit of warmth. You know, that like analog tube warmth that sits really nicely with vocals.
Another version of myself.
Gives a few more harmonics.
Is smiling at me.
Then I have an EQ here.
And I should know.
So I low cut to get rid of any like rumbles or just like room noise that was in there.
Another version of myself. Is smiling.
Boosted the air a tiny bit and got rid of a few pockets of resonance that were there. So then we have a fruity send, which is going to send, this to the morph to make this morphed instance. And then I also sent it to the vocal bus, and then this vocal bus is also being sent to the instrumental. It's being sidechained into the instrumental because I have this soothe setup, which is basically acts as a track spacer. It carves out the signal of the vocals out of the instrumental. So what you basically get is like free room, free real estate for your vocals to sit on top of the mix.
Another version of myself.
So you're gonna see that
Another version of myself.
the top line vocals
Another version of myself.
are gonna be carved out, like the frequency content of the top line vocals is gonna get carved out of the instrumental of all this. Alright? So the vocals can basically just sit on top of that.
Another version of me is smiling at me.
And then there's a Pro R
I should
with a bit of with a like 1.4 second, 20% wet reverb, just a little bit of space.
hear.
Moving on to total reverb, you have this zzz.
Is smiling.
So slightly more far field, far out, spacious,
I should know.
more lush reverb. So this is like the objective, like studio, like room reverb, and this is the tasty reverb, in a way. And then we have some delays for space,
Smiling.
slightest thing, and then they're gonna be fading in ever so slightly.
And I should know.
Just with the morph, it fits so well.
Way out of here.
And then on the final vocal bus, on the general thing, we just have a few more corrections. But yeah, that's about it.
I don't care.
And the rest was just about getting the timing right So I chop them around to
my home.
just...
So don't wake me up from my mirage.
If that's not the coolest vocal passage. So yeah, we have the top line.
Wake me up.
We have a couple ad-libs.
Wake me up. Wake me up. Wake me up
Right?
from my...
Then we have the morph, which just adds a layer of detune to it. It's so cool.
So don't wake me up from my mirage.
Yeah.
So don't wake me
And they say it on top of the group stems from the project that we just were on. So, as is usual here, I exported all of the instruments without the sub. Then I did the sub only. Then I did the kick only. Then the snare only. Then all hats and perks. And the crash. With those 6 groups of stems, I usually have all I need to finalize the like broad strokes things. And there it is. Mastering chain consists of an airy cue, very, very subtle, as we mentioned, broad strokes to get rid of some very small things like just general tonal shaping. Then we have a peak catcher. This is basically a peak limiter compressor thing. It's just set to -8 dB. And it's just gonna catch all these one-off instances in the mix where things might peak a little bit. And then, once again, we have the... Anytime the main vocals act, we have the suit coming through. It's just gonna make space for vocals to sit on top of the mix. There it goes away. And then finally, we have another EIO's airy cube with a bit of an earth boost. So earth is basically the opposite of air, whereas air is like this generalized bright high-end boost. Earth is the opposite. It's just like a generalized low-end boost, and it goes even deeper, like even lower than the 20 hertz. Fire and water basically means the slope of the EQ shapes. So basically, fire, as you can see, it's like a little bit more aggressive, whereas water is a little bit more like tapered off. See? Yeah, there it is. That's like fire versus water. I don't usually mess with this. I just leave it on neutral because I find that it's already very, very tasty. This is such a tasty EQ. We have a bit of Pro MB to limit the lows, make them a little bit more uniform, so we have a bit more headroom to maximize, so we can get as loud and as tight as possible. We have a bit of an imager here to mono out some of the lows, not all of them, as you can see. So there's still some... So there is still some stereo to the lows, so it's not just a straight line, we can have some more grittiness down there, right? And the rest is just making sure that things stay relatively in phase. And then we have a multi-band dynamics once again to limit peaks per band. Then we finally have the limiter. The gain is being adjusted dynamically here, so depending on which part of the song we're in, it's going to be at a different value. So as you can see, it's going to be loudest in the drops. That's drop 1, that's drop 2, and then for the verse, I actually went back down because this export was a bit too loud on the verse, so I had to compensate for that on the limiter. And then we have a Pro L for true peak limiting, as we always do. Well, this is what I've been doing for like the past like 2 years at least. We have in combination a G3 and a Pro L. And what this does is it prevents the clipping in the analog domain. So yeah, it basically prevents the AC, the digital to analog conversion, the DCA, when you convert from D to A, from digital to analog. Make sure that even through that conversion, it doesn't peak, because it like makes an emulation of that, and it accounts for any peaks that, when converted to analog, might still go over the headroom of your interface. And then finally, just a metering tool. It's kind of slow when there's so much going on here. The graphical interface, it tends to bug a little bit, but as you can see in the drop, we're getting something like -4 in the drop, which is pretty reasonable. It's pretty good, and I don't think I want to go any higher, because other than that, if we go to like -3, that's already like kind of ruining it. That would kind of ruin the cleanness of the sound, and it would kind of introduce some unwanted inharmonic distortion. We don't want that. So what about these basses? So you might have noticed this very aptly named Miss Autobot. I sampled Miss Lina saying Mirage, right? And I sampled her saying Mirage, Mirage. And I just ran it through a manipulator and a destructor and probably a morph as well, but it's not here. Anyway, I then bounced this and I pitch automated it. Here it is. So it pitches up and then it goes back down. So it goes Mirage, Mirage, and it has this just awesome Transformers voice. Yeah, there it is. It is pretty sick. Like it spells a Mirage, Mirage. So cool. Yeah, the limiter jumps up. Same thing. So we go back here now. Super reverbed out breakdown.
I can see.
Very reverbed out and lots of delay as well. Have some ad-libs as well.
And I should know.
And we have the dun dun. I think I detuned this quite a bit, yeah. The chorus in here.
Don't wake me, chase me.
And this one's just a morph.
So don't wake me up.
And another one. And then we're back to the Miss Autobot. the return of the buildup. And I believe we have an early version of the vocal melody. I think we had a pattern here. There it is. So this pattern 5, this like little unassuming thing, this is basically what I sent her for what to sing, right? I sent her the lyrics and then this. So this is what I sent her for to sing. And then we have this like last phrase. Not that.
Don't wake me, chase me, leave me be. Don't wake me, chase me, leave me be.
Ah, there it is. And this is it. This is the where I finally introduced the outro hit. Yeah, this is it. It's just an AU5 boom sub sweep and then a hit from, I think it's called Ava Instinct. Oh yeah. Sick stuff. Then final bits of ad-libs. Thanks for the follow, Tetty. And then that final whispered ad-lib. And that's it. Mirage and Save Me with Miss Lina is out now everywhere on all platforms. Stream to your heart's content. And if you guys want a breakdown of the other track of Save Me, you can also ask for that. I think it's been pretty clear that you guys want it, so we'll schedule it for a future stream, no problem. Guys, thank you so much for joining the Mirage project breakdown. This is where the video ends for those of you, the YouTube people. So we shall see you around very, very soon if we're doing another one with Save Me. So yeah, I've been Paul, aka Modus, and until next time.